today's topic, I kind of just felt like talking about social justice warriors, SJWs, as everyone knows them by. Which I wanted to point out like a little trick that a lot of SJWs like to pull in order to kind of, put the wool over different people's eyes. Now, SJWs, and to a large extent, a lot of other groups that they tend to be associated with, such as, feminist or anyone else really, they have no talent at all, not in the least bit. They have no imagination. They have zero ability to actually create anything original or exciting, which of course is the reason why SJWs and all those other groups try to leech themselves onto other successful and popular ventures, conventions and shows and comic books, whatever it is, just name it, and they've attempted to take it over, trying to help push their agendas. And what they want to do is they want to latch on to each one of these things and make it change from the inside out, to try and push their agenda, to try and make themselves more known. Stuff like Comic-Con, atheist conventions, free thought conventions, all of which have been subverted and perverted by SJWs and their ilk. Now, they have several different tactics they attempt to enact change in any area. They didn't be bigoted or racist or not diverse enough or whatever the hell other excuse they have. Now, shaming people with false accusations of racism, of bigotry, that's a big one. Everyone's seen that happen before, with Richard Dawkins, with different progressive thinkers who are in no way bigoted or racist. They're not to Bill Maher. No one's a bigger liberal than Bill Maher. No one's less racist than Bill Maher, but they've even accused him of racism. So what they typically do there is that they'll just have all the little drones just go about on Twitter, on Tumblr, on Facebook, wherever, and just copy and paste crap and just constantly harass the workers, the employees of these people, and try to get them fired. Oftentimes, unfortunately, it's successful too. However, the most pernicious of their tactics, in my opinion at least, is to trick the creators or management of some company or organization into actually believing that SJWs are their customers. Now, this one's a real interesting one. It's probably the most evil thing that they do, because it's evil, but in a way it's brilliant too, because what they actually do is that they will harass. They'll find something they don't like say, take for example comic books like in DC or Marvel. What they'll do is that SJWs, for a large part, how many of them would actually, 1% maybe, out of everyone who considers themselves to be a social justice warrior, I would venture to read comic books regularly, and that's probably being pretty optimistic. And the problem is nowadays, especially nowadays, people who see movies consider themselves like comic book experts or comic book connoisseurs. Now, I've never read a comic book. I love all the Marvel and DC movies. I'm not a huge movie snob, so like anything that comes out really, I love. I would never consider myself to be a comic book expert. I don't know anything about comic books. And that's why I don't sit there and bitch and moan and complain about different stuff in comic books, because I don't know anything. But neither do they. But you've seen it with the Spider-Man cover, the cover that mimics the exact same similar cover they have for Spider-Man back in the 90s in the same ass-up position that Spider-Woman was in. And everybody lost their shit because, of course, they don't know stuff like that happened before because they're not comic book fans. The same thing with the, just a couple weeks ago, they had a Wonder Woman comic, and it featured a man trying to do the most evil thing humanly possible, which of course mansplain to somebody else. Mansplaining, for those of you who don't know, is when a man has any deferring opinion with a woman and tries to actually explain himself, especially if that male is straight white. Then that is a fucking asshole that needs to be avoided at all costs. Or better yet, what happened in the comic books, physically assaulted. Most likely the best solution to stop mansplaining in the tracks. So what SJWs do is that they will harass these content creators. I mean, they'll talk to them in all different levels, some angry, some reasonable, and they'll just say like, oh, you gotta be more progressive, you gotta change this is a real problem, and they'll go on and on and on and on again. And so what the creators of these places do, like I'm sure the higher ups at Marvel and DC, they see all of these comments on Twitter, on Facebook, on wherever else they monitor these comments, And they're thinking like, oh, well our user base, our customers are really getting upset about like this stuff. Or we need to throw in more black characters. We need to throw in more gay characters, more trans characters. And then they do this nonsense, and they don't realize that the people who actually buy the comic books don't go for that shit. They're not bigoted. They have nothing against it. It's just that they don't have to play these fucking identity politics. They don't actually care. The actual true customers of the comic books, they don't actually care what these people are like, because to them, they're regular people. It's not about who you are, it's about what you're doing. It doesn't matter if you're male, if you're female, if you're straight, if you're gay. If you're a good superhero, if you have a compelling story, everybody gets into it. That's just how it works, but not SJWs. Because there's this constant little voice in the back of their head just constantly popping around. They can't enjoy a movie or a TV show or a comic book that has a white straight male character, because to them that's like fucking Satan, basically. That's basically Hitler trying to go out and save people if they're white. All right, so just the crazy thing is that these SJWs, they're not interested in helping comic book sales. They don't buy comic books. So I just wish that these creators, these higher ups there, when they would see somebody saying on like Twitter, like, "Oh, I'm never buying a Marvel comic again," realize that person has never bought a Marvel comic. They're not one of your customers. It's a false threat. They think if they get enough people saying that, people are going to go, "Oh my God, we had 5,000 comments on Twitter, but people are not buying our comic books anymore." And they assume that all those people are actual customers when they're not. That they've never been comic book customers. They've never been customers, never will be Marvel or DC customers. Regardless of how progressive, gay, positive, trans, queer, multi-ethnic the characters become, they are not interested in helping comics. They're not even interested really in helping comics to become more progressive. The only thing they're actually interested in is to push their agenda. And they'll use any medium they can get their hands on to do it. That's why if comic books weren't as popular as they are now, they wouldn't give a flying fuck about comics. They would go anywhere else where it's more popular and try to attack that, because they're only interested about their own ideas, with their own ideology, which is why they attack anybody who dissents, even other like-minded liberals. Now you see what SJWs do is they organize protests on social media sites like Facebook and Tumblr and Twitter, to pester the upper management of the companies over and over and over and over until they appear to have so many different voices coming at them that they think it's their customers who are requesting these changes. And it happens quickly. It has to happen quickly, because SJWs, much like goldfish, have very short attention spans. And what the management of these staffs, they don't realize is that if you just wait like a week and all of it will die down. No one actually cares. The SJWs, they're not really outraged. They don't particularly care about comic books at all. All they want to do is push their agenda, and they see one way of doing it, and so they strike. They're children. And I guarantee you most of these SJWs, by the time they get a little bit older, are going to be concerned with families, with work, with everything else, are going to look back and be ashamed of this time in their life. Then again, I could be completely fucking wrong. I hope I'm not, but I probably am. Now, this all fits into the minds of the SJWs and other people like them have, which is that they want to have their cake and they want to eat it too. You know, they want to dress in as little clothing as possible, not have anything at all said to them, which, I mean, they shouldn't. I mean, who gives a fuck how a girl dressed if she's, tiny clothes, her breasts are popping out? But you can't then yell at somebody for taking notice of that. They want to be able to behave in one way, to be as vicious as they possibly can be, to attack anybody with dissenting views, to spew this hatred 24/7 at them, and the second something gets said in reply, bam, they pull the victim card. All of a sudden, they're the victim. Fucking faster than they can scream racism and misogyny, 300 GoFundMe accounts are started up to help the poor victims who had to suffer through the terrible PTSD causing dissenting voices on Twitter. Look, the long story short, point of this video is just, if anyone knows comic book creators, if anyone knows anybody, two major rules to fall by. One, whenever you start getting these comments from SJWs, from whoever, complaining about not progressive enough, not diverse enough, racist, misogynist, just wait 1 week. Rule of thumb, just wait 1 week before you do anything at all, and just see what happens, because I guarantee you, everything dies down in a week. They do not have attention spans. They do not have integrity. They do not have morals, so they do not stick to stuff because they're constantly changing. They have no idea what they actually want. So one, take 1 week, and two, please, comic books, movies, TV shows, stop conflating your actual customers with SJWs, right? Because your actual customers are getting pissed off from how constantly you're fucking them over by taking SJW's thoughts into account. You're ruining what they like, and you're going to actually lose customers over it. SJWs, they don't forgive. One of the worst things you could possibly do is to ever concede anything to an SJW. They demand for apologies, they demand for everything, but anything you give them will never be enough. So just forget about it. Don't do it. Don't apologize. Don't show weakness. They're like tigers. They see a little limp and they know, bam, I got it. Long story short, just wait 1 week before you do anything. Anybody's being attacked by SJWs. And second thing, please stop conflating your customers with SJWs, because SJWs don't buy shit from anything. They're fucking leeches. They suck the life out of anything. They take free shit only. They don't actually have jobs that produce any money, unless of course they have rich parents, in which case they just use their money.